evening. Welcome to the Sunbury Parks and Rec meeting. It is January 7th at 5:30 p.m. If we could get a roll call, please. Alyssa?
Mrs. Cooper?
Here?
Mr. Ghost?
Here.
Two present. We have quorum.
Okay, thank you. I am first looking for a motion on the minutes from the December 3rd meeting.
I'll motion.
I will second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ghost?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
2 yeas, motion passed.
Okay. Are there any visitors that would like to speak to the commission? I think we have you on the agenda later, but I don't see any other visitors. So we are going to move on to unfinished business with J.R. Smith Park.
Good evening. The last update I gave for J.R. Smith Park was at council, and at that meeting, at the time, we had opened bids for J.R. Smith Park. Since then, we have received a letter of recommendation for award. If you look at page 3 of your packet, and page 4 has a summary table of the bid results. You can see on page 4 that we had 3 contractors submit bids with a low bid for the base bid and the alternate playground of $3.575 million by 2K General Company. And they are out of Delaware, Ohio.
Okay.
So at council tonight, we are asking for award of that contract. We are looking to have that voted on this evening so that we can expedite some of the additional contracts that are needed for the bonds. And also, we want to get this this construction underway as soon as possible. In the bid documents, we had requested a final construction date of July 17th. That is very soon and was one of the concerns that some of the bidders had on this project. So with the award, assuming council and the Parks Commission is in favor, we'll be able to move forward with working on those contract documents and have a pre-construction meeting. Are there any questions?
No.
That's about how much money, I mean, that is real close to the engineer's estimate, right?
It doesn't usually get much closer.
Yeah.
This is almost like The Price is Right. I
Yeah.
mean, could be winning all the packages, and they did. So yeah, the engineer's estimate combined, I believe, was 3.55.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, 3.556. So within $20,000.
Yeah.
So that's great. We had 2 other bidders that were just slightly higher, but all within a reasonable amount. So we're feeling very good about the bids.
And we won't be borrowing all of this money.
No. So we'll be we'll be borrowing about 2.5 million. So that, as Carla had indicated, that bond, the request for proposals for those interested in financing the project will go out tomorrow, assuming that council acts this evening. And yeah, we'll be asking them to basically offer a bond somewhere in the $2.55 million range.
We have $1 million of our own money and
We have $1 million of our own. Exactly. Now, there will be some other expenses attached to it. I mean, there will be the inspection costs as well, which we'll have as part of our engineering cost, or as part of our engineering budget, already considered to be part of our engineering budget. And there may be some additional contingency as well. So when we enter into the contract, one of the things we will ask council to do is authorize a contract award of up to 3.7 to allow a little bit of contingency in the document. So
That's what we're going to ask council for.
yes. And the other thing I would just add is, I was pretty optimistic or enthusiastic, I think I should say, about the possibility of this being done in the middle of July. Maybe I was a little too premature on my enthusiasm there. So, but one of the things we are is, I think Carla had indicated, the sooner we can get the contractor to give us a firm schedule, the better the sense we'll have of what can be done. And we do anticipate the park will be done this year.
Yes.
And will be usable this year. Whether all components are usable is, I think, what we'll have to kind of figure out. So
Also, the city manager and I had a very brief virtual meeting with 2K General just to ask them what their thoughts were on schedule. And they had anticipated if they were able to start January 15th, which is next week, which they cannot, they would have their construction completed on time in mid-July. So if their schedule is correct, you know, if they start mid-February, which is looking like that's probably how long it's going to take in order to get the contract documents and everything together on the bond side. You know, if you tack a month on the end of the mid-July, mid-August, we could be looking at substantial completion.
Sounds like a Labor Day grand opening.
It does, doesn't it?
It's still very hot in Ohio in August and September.
Yes, it
Will
is.
get used.
Whatever date it is, assuming it's, you know, before November, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
Still like
Yeah.
to see the splash pad operable.
So,
So we can show it off and
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we definitely are talking a little bit about. We do want to be a little bit careful about if we do open it very late in the season, we'll be shutting it down shortly thereafter. And so we just want to be, I think, smart about that opening and closing at the end of the year. So,
Yeah.
but we'll have more to share.
Are we
with you.
thinking with the alternate playground then? Are we going to have them build the playground?
Yes, so this award of the contract is for the base bid, so the splash pad and the shelter house. The alternate was just for that playground equipment and the play surface underneath the equipment. We are recommending award, and that $3.7 million number includes that. So yes, they are planning on ordering that, and in their very early high-level schedule, they had included getting those items. One of my concerns and one of the reasons I wanted to have a conversation with them as soon as possible is if there were long lead items, playground equipment that we had requested, they could make a phone call and let someone know that we were interested and needed it. We wanted to start that conversation early. So they're aware that we are bringing it to council tonight, and we let them know that as soon as we have that ordinance signed, assuming it goes through, we'll be sharing it with them.
So the ordinance that we're gonna ask council for is to award the bid,
Yeah, to award the contract to 2K
to award the
For
contract.
construction.
for construction.
we'll have to do that via emergency, right?
Yes.
Tonight.
And then where are we at with the financing?
Again, that what they're waiting for then is this action of council this
Because
evening.
you guys have already been working on the
Right,
financing
right.
part. They just have to have this.
Right, once they have this, then they'll quote, release the RFP, and that invites bidders to give us their best proposal. And what it really does is that we're just looking to see who gives us the best interest rate over, you know, the 20-year term.
So they were waiting for us to
They're
pick a.
waiting, yes.
Got it. This is very exciting. This is.
Yeah, it
very
is,
cool.
it is. I
It
mean,
was a long time coming.
We talked, at least in 2020, we talked
Yes.
about J.R. Smith Park. I mean, before then, because the Parks Master Plan, but just as a board, we talked in 2020 about it. So,
It's at least 5-6 years.
yeah.
of Hard work. It's gonna
Very
pay off.
Okay.
Great stuff.
Yep, thank you.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, up next, we have new business. We have a silver maple tree on the square, and I believe that's where Mr. Nava is gonna come in.
Yep.
Yep, okay. If you wouldn't mind coming to the podium, please tell us your name and your address.
it is, yes.
Hi, I'm Aaron Noblet. I'm at 597 Hartman Court in Sunbury. And primarily talking about the silver maple tree on the square, which when we've been having forestry meetings, Alyssa and Jake and I about doing evaluations of the trees on the square. This silver maple is what I would consider to be a hazardous tree where we should consider total removal, unfortunately. I like trees better than most people, so I don't take it lightly. I want to think it through, but this tree was topped, I'm estimating in the 90s. So you can see where it's kind of knuckled right there. So someone probably cut it in half. The sycamore in the back was also topped, but sycamores can respond from that kind of wounding much better than a silver maple. So when silver maples are topped, it just introduces decay at each topping cut, and that decay goes down. So when we're doing a tree risk assessment, this was just a visual kind of common sense assessment of the tree. You can do more in-depth, x-rays of the trunk and everything. I don't think that's necessary here, but, we're doing a visual assessment. What are the targets? This is a highly used park, so there's a lot of people under the tree, so the target would be people. The risk rating, I would consider it high-risk tree, to storm damage. It has a history of failure, and if you go to the next slide, you can see a large section that broke out, and you can see the decay, and so those are two different decayed pockets. So it has a history of failure, which is not good. So all of these things stacked together, the previously top being a silver maples are just genetically prone to storm damage, especially as they age, has significant decay. You've got a lot of people underneath the tree quite often. I had a meeting with two other city foresters at the coffee shop, and I walked them around and we looked at every tree on the square, and they both agreed that, yeah, if it was in their community, they would remove it. Also sent pictures to other foresters that worked for the ODNR, and they agreed. So yeah, you can look at it like it's a good candidate for replacement. It's still green, it's still alive, but I remember a couple years back, during the Sunbury sizzle, there was a chance of extreme, a pop-up thunderstorm with potential high winds, and I was looking at that thing and all the people underneath it, and like,
Some anxiety.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about that tree. I think new removal and replacement it's time for that. Every tree, trees have a service life, and they're, renewable because you can replace them. So
How old do you think that is approximately?
it's hard saying, 75 maybe, somewhere in there. But the only way to know would be to take a core sample, and they're pretty fast growing trees. They could be older, but
If I could just build on before we move on to a next tree, I mean, that particular branch that fell off, it's now been about a year and a half, I think, something like that. I mean, it was a large limb. It fell across the sidewalk. It fell actually out into the street, out into Columbus Street. So fortunately, I think it happened in the middle of the night. Nobody got hurt, but I mean, it could have damaged, in addition to people, I mean, getting hurt.
Yeah.
It could have damaged property as well. And so we were fortunate that none of that happened. So we appreciate
That
it.
happened during a storm,
Yeah, it did. It was a high wind event.
which we
And-
get constantly at any time of the year. We
Yeah.
can get a storm.
So how quickly can we remove it?
I mean, we've been talking about it for a while, and Jake, I think he's got quotes on it. So
Okay, Jake's ready to go for the most
Yeah,
part.
we'll move quickly to get this down.
You need our okay for this board.
So, well, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but generally what we look for is consensus from this group to proceed with it. We did ask Aaron if he could stay at least to share his concerns with the full council members so that they are aware. Assuming that there is not an objection, by a majority of the members, we'll proceed as if it's an administrative matter.
and
So it's not on our new business or anything. We're just gonna talk about it during
Yeah.
Parks update.
And we'll probably want to do a little bit of community outreach just to let people know that a significant tree is coming down on the square. the
And
reasons
why.
I guess while I have your attention, I thought I'd talk about a few other trees on the square. This horse chestnut tree, actually, since I made the presentation Monday, there has had some crown reduction pruning, and I was in contact with Jake to maybe consider doing a little more. I believe this branch, there was a lot of top weight taken off here, but we need to do some more crown reduction over here. Just to try to help prevent it from splitting apart. I mean, I'm not recommending total removal, but definitely some hazard mitigation pruning.
How do you feel about that lower limb on the right? Does that still?
I think
Okay.
they might have removed that
Okay,
just the other day.
okay, good.
But if you go to the next slide, you can see, what it's attached to. It's pretty decayed. Now, that's not from topping, that's from previous storm damage, just natural storm damage. So taking more weight off of this branch would be recommended to help prevent that from splitting out. So those are the two that really stick out the most as potential hazardous trees. So with the silver maple complete removal, with this one, it's kind of like a slow removal, maybe, do some hazardous pruning mitigation and kind of keep an eye on it. Next slide. And then thinking about, since I've been here, I moved here in 2013, we've lost a big ash, which is now Johnny Appleseed. That was from emerald ash borer. I mean, it could have been treated, but you have to get on it early in Ohio when it, that insect was introduced. You would have had to start treating pretty early. So the honey locust tree we lost on this corner over here, over by District 13, that was due to soil compaction. So when the soil is compacted so tight, the tree can't absorb nutrients and water and it starts to get stressed. And then ambrosia beetle was attracted to it and finished it off. So that tree died pretty quickly from soil compaction. And then if we do remove the silver maple, that'll be 3 big ones since I've been here in 2013. Somebody posted this on Facebook. They said they thought it was the square in the 1940s, and there's like 11 trees just in that left-hand corner. So I think they had a higher stock of trees.
Isn't that one in the center right there, the Appleseed or the EAB, Ash EAB that you removed?
Yeah.
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 And I'm assuming there was elms that probably died from Dutch elm disease back then, and then, the ash. So it was probably, and then maybe natural old age, but they had quite a few back then. If you want to go to the next slide. So I think for replacement, the 2 that would be kind of classic big shade trees that we don't have on the square that, kind of town squares, college campuses, typically have them, like Otterbein has an elm that would be Dutch elm's disease resistant, which there's a lot of good options now. We don't have an elm and we don't have a ginkgo. Ginkgo is another kind of classic town square, college campus setting tree. So those 2 would be some really good options, but.
Do they have both spring and fall color? Those trees?
Kind of leaf out green, and then turn, the ginkgo would turn real bright. And they both turn yellow.
In the fall?
There is some elm hybrids that turn burgundy, but if we did an American elm, which would be more kind of like a classic choice, it's going to be yellow. Other options, we have a lot of oaks, which I think that's great. And I think anywhere you have room for a big shade tree, I'd plant a big shade tree in this setting. The chinkapin oak, the swamp white oak, and the bur oak are less susceptible to, get into it more depth here, they're less susceptible to iron chlorosis, where trees that we're treating, a couple on the square, that they can't absorb enough iron and it can actually kill them. I mean, it can be pretty drastic. The big pin oak is being treated right now, and I think without treatment, it'd probably be gone. So planting the trees that are not, if we do more oaks that are not susceptible to chlorosis. But we don't have a honey locust now that big one was removed. That's a great shade tree. Big magnolias. Kentucky, we have one Kentucky coffee tree that's looking really good. That's another good option. And then the smaller trees to kind of tuck in around the edges or up against the building. There's some other options there I listed, but
I like red buds and the sweet bay magnolias.
Yeah.
Those are nice.
yeah, and just kind of, I kind of look at the smaller ones as like tucking in around the building or in smaller areas. But if we can plant a big one, I think that's, in this setting, that's what I would recommend.
We did plant a buckeye for Mr. Weatherby right out here.
Oh, yeah,
A couple
yeah.
years ago.
We've got 2. And I guess go to the next slide. But, and then thinking about planting, just making sure that whoever does the planting is following these are some tree specs that I made for the city. And the biggest thing is making sure that the root flares. So it's also called trunk flare, but that's where the trunk flares out to the roots. That should always be visible after a tree has been planted, and you'd be amazed how many landscapers don't do that. I mean, it could, from the nursery, the root flares could be buried, 8-10 inches deep. So they literally have to peel apart the ball and the burlap sack and dig down there to find it, and then make sure that is planted slightly above soil grade, which rarely gets done without some sort of enforcement of the specs. And here's an example. This is more from burying the root flares from volcano mulching, but you can see the amount of fibrous roots that start to grow in that, and they circle the trunk and they cut off circulation. So it's kind of a proactive thing. It's not, improper planting or piling the mulch up doesn't kill the tree quickly, but within a handful of years, that's when arborists get the call, why is my tree dying from the top down? And by that time, it's hard to fix. So being proactive on proper planting is a big part. And the biggest thing is the roof layer should be visible at all times. Go to the next slide. Here's just some info about chlorosis. So you can see on that picture on the left-hand side, the yellowing where it should be a dark green, like on the right-hand side. So that's exactly what happened with the big pin oak out here. And we've been treating it, and I'm optimistic about it, but we did lose some big branches because it happened pretty quickly. So in this case, pin oaks are really susceptible to chlorosis, but it can also be from the soil compaction from all the foot traffic or vendors driving over the roads, where the soil gets bound up so tight that the trees cannot absorb the nutrients. So, and then it can also, the clay soils have a higher pH, which also makes it harder for, the pH has to be buffered right for certain species to be able to absorb micronutrients too. So in this case, we were just doing direct injections of micronutrients just to bypass the root system to give it a chance, bring it back to life. But, considering soil compaction has been an issue on the square. If you want to go to the next slide, I think the bigger the mulching, the better. I don't know aesthetically if others like it. I think it looks good. But with all the foot traffic and vehicles, that's a picture of the square. I think it just helps alleviate that soil compaction. And as the mulch breaks down, it adds nutrients. Certain products like Mulch First has one called Sweet Peat, which can lower the pH, which can help with chlorosis. Keeps the mowers and weed whackers away from damage. I think it looks good, but it does require annual maintenance to maintain that 3-inch layer. And Johnstown Square has some at least they did several years ago, had some pretty big mulch rings that they were maintaining, but the bigger the better, because that's kind of considered the critical root zone for the trees. But in a perfect world, big mulch rings would be nice. Are
those in those situations, is the root trunk over the mulch, or it goes?
The root flares?
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to pile it up on, you wouldn't.
Right, so it's just around the flares.
Yeah, you want to keep it pulled back from the root flares. Because you see people where they pile it up, and that's.
I couldn't tell from that picture because
Well,
did you just show me two
that was
different
just on
things?
the internet, but it was trying to show.
You would want a big mulch ring, but the tree itself with the root flares would not be under the mulch.
Correct, yeah. So, and I think that's all I had, that's all I had. And you can see here where that's the big pin oak. You can see where it's yellow on that side. And then this white oak is being treated, you can see it's yellow. So those were the two chlorotic trees at this time.
And the one we want to remove up there in the top right, or top center.
So right over here.
Mhm.
So that's fine. Yeah.
Hey, Aaron, if I could ask you, we do aerate, I think, once a year in the fall, which I assume is good in terms of reducing the compaction. Should we be doing that more frequently?
I mean, that's more for turf where it doesn't,
Okay.
it doesn't penetrate deep enough for
the tree.
I mean, it's still
Okay.
good. It's still helpful, but it's not a cure all for the trees
okay.
as it is for the turf. Because it's only
Got it.
going down, 1.5 2 inches or so.
Okay,
But
yeah, that's good feedback. Okay.
but that's all I had. And thanks for your time. If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to stick around.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So I imagine removing trees and planting trees is expensive. We haven't operated with a parks budget really in a while. And when we've had big projects, we've sort of just dealt with them like that. So is this something I suppose that Ms. Steffen would have to be in on the conversation and?
Absolutely, but we do have, in the service department, there is a budget for tree care.
Oh,
So, and one of the things that Jake and I have been talking about is trying to get a little bit more money into that budget anyway.
okay.
Because we've tried to be more active around tree.
Yeah, it sounds like
Plantings and whatever.
like with your body, if you take care of it from the beginning, that's easier than.
Yeah. And we are investing enough, at this point to be a Tree City USA city. So what's that, $2 per per capita. So I mean, the city has been making a commitment of certainly an important amount of, in the past. But again, like I said, I've tried to encourage him to put a little bit more money in there. And I think he did. I hope he did.
How do we determine if we want to go ahead and do mulch rings?
Well, so I think not this year, but last year, Jake did try to expand the rings around the tree. Not to the size that Aaron has pointed out that might be the preferred option. So we can certainly keep talking to him about trying to get those out, maybe even farther than they are right now.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
And he's aware of the trunk route or whatever.
Yeah, I think the guidelines,
Yeah.
I think as Aaron
Those are-
indicated. Those
Those
are
are
ours, yeah.
ours, right? I
Yeah.
assume those guidelines it had the city of Sunbury on it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I
sir.
think-
And we include them in all of our development projects now. So we have standard language that goes out on every project. So as we are building communities, we are trying to educate and let them know what we're looking for. Hopefully in the future, we'll have a staff member. I know during budget last season, we did approve an engineering technician, that kind of role that would be out in the field more, doing inspection, trying to be proactive with this, I think will be very helpful. So hopefully that happens early this year.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Which leads right into the Tree City USA, excuse me.
So on the topic of trees, the Arbor Day Foundation, they are really tightening up their review process for the Tree City applications. So currently ours are pending state review. So it looks like we should get approved for 2025. But since Ohio has the most Tree City communities, we're often under more scrutiny from other states just to make sure all the requirements are being fully met. In the past few years, they've been lenient on some certain requirements. So this year, we really want to be more proactive in all of our, proactive in our efforts for our Tree City application. So since we had a tree commission and that got absorbed into parks, what we're hoping for this year is to bring more of that tree commission into the Parks Commission. So how we were talking about the silver maple will bring more tree maintenance and topics and projects and ideas forth. We have a meeting scheduled next week to kind of see what we think that involvement will look like and kind of how we want to outline and prepare this. So that way it's not too much tree, and that way there's like a good even amount of Parks and Rec plus the tree commission.
Okay. So. Cause I wonder if that bleeds over to services too. It's tough because it probably is.
I mean, and Alyssa and I talked a little bit about this. I mean, yeah, the trees don't fit neatly in this particular committee, and they probably don't fit neatly into the services one either. I mean, there are trees at public parks, which clearly falls under your jurisdiction. I think what I think at least the model we're trying to adopt or maybe kind of enhance a little bit is at least a decision that was made a few years ago, which was to fold it into this committee. So we'll try to fold it into this committee. If we find that it's not working, then we'll make an adjustment in the future.
That sounds good to me. I mean, our meetings are often very short anyway, so we're happy to talk about more things. I know you're happy to talk about trees, so
Yeah.
we're willing to
That sounds
give
good to me.
it
Yeah.
give it a
Great,
shot.
thank you.
We are on to our monthly park update, which is probably on the last page here. Not much going on this time of year.
No, there's not much. We already touched on J.R. Smith Park. We had one burial this month. For Town Square, we had Christmas on the Square. It was a great success. The event ran smoothly. There were no incidents. And the ice rink was a huge hit with all of the younger kids.
I bet, that's good. That was new this year, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Looks like our next meeting will be Wednesday, February 4th at 5:30. We will ideally have somebody else up here with us, helping us with this heavy lifting. Sounds good. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr.